Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDF44. I'm trying to warm my car, so forgive me if I have a little feedback there. That's my heater popping off. But got about 10 minutes to talk, so I'm going to give you as much as I can and then move on. So I'm going to talk about a team that I'm not watching, as I often do. You got to forgive me. I'm a hardworking guy. Don't always have what I need in terms of time to watch teams, and I don't have a league pass. So I'm going by the fly. One of the things that I follow very closely is fantasy basketball. So the numbers kind of tell me what I need to know in some cases. It doesn't give me context, but it does give me an understanding of at least what the production that's taking place from individual to individual. I also pay close attention to different podcasts, different, people talking heads who speak about basketball quite a bit. And I watch as many highlights as I possibly can. So I'll admit, I've watched a hell of a lot more basketball as a young person than I have recently, but I still have a great passion for it. So I'll just give you what I got. And if I happen to be wrong, you understand that this is just part of what happens when you come to Brandon's channel, BDF's channel. I'm not the most thorough dude in the world. I'm just not. But here's what it is. We all have strengths and weaknesses. Being thorough is a weakness of mine. Gotta own it. But what I will say is, I do know a little something about the Sacramento Kings coach. And I've been paying attention somewhat to what's been going on in Sacramento as it pertains to how they drafted, some of the players that they've had. I'm familiar with the roster. So, Sacramento Kings were on the verge. We'll start here. They were on the verge of trading for a guy by the name of Donte DiVincenzo. And that trade fell through because they did not have the rights to the player that they were trying to trade away, which was Bogdan Bogdanovic, who now plays for the Atlanta Hawks. He said, "No, I'm not going to Milwaukee. I'm going to Atlanta. I'm taking my bag there, and that's where I want to spend my career. I'm a free agent. You guys don't have a right to trade me." I don't know how they messed that up. But either way, that trade didn't go through, and because of it, they don't have Donte on their team. Donte is now having a fantastic season in Milwaukee. He's a defensive player who can pass a little bit, who can rebound a little bit. Not really a consistent scorer, particularly from the inside, but he's starting to become a better shooter from the outside. So he's a very strange kind of guy to a degree. I hope I'm not getting mixed up with somebody else now that I think about it. At any rate, Donte DiVincenzo is playing very, very well from the defensive end. He can steal the ball. He was able to steal the ball last year, and he's able to do a whole lot of things for you in that regard. The only thing I'm not certain about is his interior versus exterior shooting. I get him mixed up with another player I was reading about around the same time, Peyton Pritchard. So please forgive me. That's my disclaimer for that. But the reality of the situation is this. Because they didn't get Donte DiVincenzo, however they were trying to build their team, suddenly they don't have a very important piece that they were going to bring in. So they have to amend what it is that they were going to do to a degree. Now, they have a guy by the name of Marvin Bagley III. Now, they've gone through a Vlade Divac era. Vlade is no longer their president, GM, and Vlade made some really, really tough decisions. I love Vlade. Vlade's an old Laker. He got us Kobe Bryant. He played in the finals with Magic. So Vlade's a Laker, and I got a whole lot of love for Vlade. But his GM decision-making was poor. And I don't think anybody that was paying close attention to that would disagree. He just didn't make good decisions. I mean, and I still honestly don't understand the Luka Doncic thing. I don't have any information on that in regards to why they chose Marvin Bagley over Luka Doncic and Trae Young. I don't know. But it looked away. It looked like Vlade was saying, "Nah, I'm not going to draft my fellow European guy. And I'm going to go with Marvin Bagley, who's clearly not as skilled." Even on draft night, everyone in the world knew that Marvin Bagley was not a better player than Luka Doncic. And most people thought that he wouldn't be a better player than Trae Young, even though the idea about Trae Young was that he was going to be too small to really do any damage. All that stuff he could do in college, he wouldn't be able to translate to the NBA because he was too small. He was going to be a horrible defender, blah, blah, blah. And we see how that has all played out. Trae Young is one of the best players in the league. And Luka Doncic is a top 5 player in the league. So we're in a place where we understand that was an awful draft pick. Okay, but they did a great job in getting De'Aaron Fox. They paid him a whole lot of money. They got some guys in there that they really, really like. Some stability with NBA champion by the name of Harrison Barnes. He's been playing very well for them. Rashawn Holmes is a guy who's playing extremely well for them. They got Hassan Whiteside, who's not getting any minutes at all. Kind of strange, doesn't really fit Luke Walton's system, etc., etc. And you go down their roster, of course, you got to talk about Buddy Yield, fantastic scorer, shooter extraordinaire, clutch player. I like him a lot. So they have a lot of different things that they can use. But they really lucked out this past draft in getting a guy by the name of Tyrese Haliburton. Tyrese Haliburton is your quintessential ball-moving point guard. A lot of people play the point guard position. Many people actually think the point guard position. Fewer people think the point guard position is what I'm trying to tell you. There's a lot of people who play P guard, but most of them are just scorers who are short. Okay? Tyrese Haliburton is a point guard. An actual one. Like Lonzo Ball. Like a real point guard who actually passes the rock, plays defense, rebounds a little bit, scores where he can, but mostly is looking to keep ball movement, pace, and make good decisions with the basketball and orchestrate an offense to be an actual extension of the coach. He's a real point guard, and they're rare in this league at this point. I'm a huge fan of that. I have the mind of a passer. You know, the type of play that I think I would have if I were a player. It's probably somebody who would pass more so than anything else. I believe in ball movement. I believe in the importance of having a facilitator. I see what happens when you have a whole lot of talent and nobody to get them the ball. It's called the Los Angeles Clippers. Okay? And we know what it looks like. If they had a point guard, they probably would have beat us. But because they didn't have a point guard, there was no one to make sure that PG and Kawhi and Morris and all those guys got the ball in consistent spaces and had cohesiveness, particularly down the stretch. Tyrese Haliburton is that for the Kings. You put him on that team and suddenly whatever they have, whether it's really good or really bad, it plays better. He makes others better. He makes it so that others get the ball in their spaces. He makes it so that the ball is continuing to pop. He makes it so that guys don't want to sit there and watch somebody, shoot all day. You don't have to sit there and watch one player go off when you have someone on the floor whose only job is to make sure that the ball is dishing and moving at a pace that makes sense. Tyrese Haliburton brings the intellect into the Sacramento Kings that they have literally never had. Sacramento Kings have never had a point guard like this. They had passing bigs in their heyday, in their golden era, when we beat the hell out of them in 01 with the cheating stuff that was going on. Everybody says it was cheating. I don't care. I don't care. As many times as I've seen the Lakers get cheated, I don't care. I don't feel bad about that. But it is what it is. They had two of the best passing big men in the world, in Chris Webber and Vlade Divac. They didn't need Bibby to be a passer for them. They didn't need any of that. I don't recall them ever having a passing point guard. Even De'Aaron Fox, to a degree, is a scoring point guard who can pass. Haliburton is a glue guy that makes others better. So he, to me, is literally the most important player on that team because he makes it all go. And now that they have that, suddenly they're an exciting team. Problem is, he's hurt. He'll be back next week. He got a wrist injury. And the other problem is Marvin Bagley. His pops is talking. His pops is on a mission to basically get him traded. He tweeted that he wanted his son to be traded. And then De'Aaron Fox chimed in and seconded that notion in obvious different spirit of the situation. In other words, yeah, that kid sucks, get him out of here. His dad is saying, yeah, Luke Walton sucks, please get him away from Luke Walton. So it's one of those situations where there's discourse between family members who are talking, and Luke Walton's seen this before. He dealt with Lonzo, so this isn't new for him. But I hate to be the guy that agrees that he's the problem. He is. Luke Walton is family to me in terms of Laker lore. He's won championships here. I have him down as the worst Laker of all time, personally. I do. But it didn't mean he was a bad character guy. We loved having him. He was a great guy. He still is. He's a great guy. All things I've been told about and everything I've seen, he's a great guy. Somebody I probably get along with very well. I don't think that matters when you're talking about efficiency and how well a person controls a basketball floor. And quite frankly, he's not a good coach. He's not good. I haven't forgotten what he did in Golden State. I have not forgotten that. They started the season perfect. When Steve Kerr was having his back issues, he filled in for Steve and did an amazing job. But ultimately, he was coaching someone or players that didn't need any coaching at all. Golden State Warriors, you could have had a cat coaching them. They would have still won the same games, unfortunately. And Luke Walton, the thing about Luke for me is that he tends to choose his system of play over what makes sense for the team. Like some other coaches, including Mike D'Antoni, he really doesn't amend much of what it is that he does. I have this system in place. I don't care if the roster fits that. I'm going to find the best players to run my system on the roster and everyone else be damned. And because he doesn't amend very well, there's a whole lot of discourse on the teams that he coaches. Guys are not happy. Hence what we're seeing here, the same thing we saw with the Lakers. Guys are not flourishing properly. You know, guys are not really buying into the system that it is that he's asking them to play. And they're not winning a whole lot. Same thing that happened here. I did like how he had the kids kind of growing underneath him. They developed pretty well under Luke Walton, but we didn't do any winning, so it didn't translate to them having the habits of winning. I do credit a lot of what Brandon Ingram's success is now to Luke Walton's decision to put the ball in his hands from day one and have him running point guard from day one. I thought that was an amazing decision. So I don't want to scream from the rafters that Luke Walton's a horrible coach and not speak on the things that I actually really appreciated that he did as a Laker coach. But ultimately, his rotations were the worst in the league. That's the meat and potatoes of Luke Walton's weaknesses. He is a horrible, horrible rotations coach. He puts the worst combinations of players on the floor, and he will leave them out there for long periods of time and will literally not pay any attention to what's going on down there. And I know that sounds disrespectful, but that's what I observed. There were times where guys were literally rolling their ankles and getting hurt, and I would be like, Coach, get him off the floor. And I look at Luke Walton. Luke Walton's paying attention to the ref. Like he literally didn't even see the player twist his ankle. That happened on more than one occasion where I'm sitting there scratching my head like, is this idiot paying attention? Like that was the exact sentiment. So I had to say it in that way. But it was that level of frustration. So now when we talk about Luke Walton going to, first of all, I was happy he got away from us. But when we talk about him going to Sacramento, that's not a good situation because they're an even less talented basketball club than we were when we had our kids. So now you're asking him to go to a smaller market and try to implement some type of winning into a culture that's not known for winning. That doesn't have winning in its DNA. And as a result, you have more of the same. Discourse, players talking about they're not happy, fathers sounding off on social media, etc. The moral of the story is the Sacramento Kings have to do two things. They need to trade Marvin Bagley and give up on that because he's not that great of a player and he still does have value because he's a shot blocker and a power forward, but he's not what they need. And they need to fire Luke Walton. That's it. That's all. De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Haliburton have proven they can play together, so that's not a problem. I like their forward situation that they got going on. Like I said, Buddy Hield, those guys, those are all good players. I don't really believe in the center that they're not playing, Whiteside, but at the same time, he holds value. You could send him to a lot of different places and bring back something instead of having him ride on your bench. It doesn't make any sense. So there's some things that the front office can do to help Luke, but ultimately to help themselves, they should fire Luke. Anyway, that's what I got. Yeah, I'm being cold-blooded today, man. I don't know, it's something about this day. It's something about this 21. Just got your boy talking kind of cut and dry as it pertains to certain things. I don't feel like being nice right now. Just want to be honest. That's how I feel. My name is BDF44, and I'm out.